Yo, what's the dealio, man? Hey, listen, you already know we got a banger for you today, all right? In this video, we're gonna be talking about the market. We're gonna be talking about playing earnings and Nvidia, all right? Today, we already know once market closes, we have the earnings for Nvidia, right? Nvidia moves the market. We already know this, right? So, depending on what Nvidia does, is going to basically, predict or it's going to be predicated on the market. So whatever Nvidia does, the market is going to follow. That's why today the market has been choppy and it's kind of hasn't really gone anywhere. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to base everything off of technical analysis. All right. We're going to go over some of your favorite stocks. We're going to start with the SPY and the Nvda. All right. I'm not gonna show you anything on the 15, 30 minute. I'm only gonna focus on the daily and the weekly time frames. All right. That way, I'm gonna show you where we could potentially be going in the market. All right. Like I said, we're gonna talk about some of your favorite stocks, some of the most popular stocks. All right. But I want you to understand, if you plan on playing earnings today before market close, because this video came out before market close, I want you to understand, don't risk more than what you are willing to lose the whole contract. Okay, the whole contract. I'm not playing Nvidia earnings. I'm just not, right? Because if you don't know, then don't play it. It's simple as that, right? Because if it has momentum, no matter what direction, if the market goes up tomorrow, then you could ride calls on almost any stock. If the market drops down tomorrow, then you can ride puts down. You don't have to try to predict what they're going to do. I know it's a bigger move and it's a lot of money at stake, but at the end of the day, do you want to lose that whole amount of your contract? Because if it gaps up or down $10, $8, $12, your whole contract is done. All right. If not 2 or 3 contracts, depending on, what you're doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in the market and we're going to look at some stocks based off technical analysis. And I'm going to let you guys know what I think is going to happen based on what I see, based on my understanding. All right. I want to be very clear. This is based off of what I'm seeing in my understanding. Okay. That's all I'm basing this off of. All right. So let's go. All right. So let's go to the SPY. All right. Let's start off with the SPY since that's the actual market. Now, first things first, right? This is on the weekly time frame. The weekly time frame, okay? Now, we have a gap down here, right? And then we also have a gap right here, 568. So the SPY has a gap down to 568 and also down to 528, okay? It's inside of this body because it's on the weekly. If you go to the daily time frame, you see it right here. So it could come down to 534 to 528. And then it could come back down from 575 down to 568. All right. Now, that's the first thing that I'm seeing on the charts. On the daily time frame is 2 gaps right here. We are currently at 591 or 590.50, right? That's where we're currently at. Now, we came down to test the, let me turn these Bollinger Bands off. We came down and we tested the 21 EMA and we bounced off of it, right? All right, cool. And then we bounced up. Now, if we can't get above 590, let's call it 595, then we could be coming back down and we could actually fall harder and we could come lower than right here. And that would bring us to here, if not lower down here. Because honestly, this looks like it could be forming a double top, right? If you see this breakout right here, all right? And then we come down here, boom. And then we come right back up. And then we could be coming all the way down, all right, to right here. Am I saying this is going to happen? No, but these are possibilities. So I want you to understand that we're not fully just in the clear going up yet, all right? So this is the SPY right here, okay? Now, if we go to the QQQ, it's gonna have a similar pattern, right? But look at this on the QQQ. We have a gap from 501 down to 491. All right, 501 to 491. So boom, right here, right? And it has a very similar pattern. You got this right here, and then you got this right here. All right, and you have a gap down here as well. So you actually have 3 gaps to the downside. Boom, right there. Okay, so that's another gap down to 446. And then this one already kind of got filled. So we're not going to put that. So we have 2 big gaps right here. All right, so it potentially could be coming all the way down to 446, right? Potentially. Now, what is it? Move to the upside, came down here, it's right here, and it could reject and it could come all the way down to fill this gap, and then we could bounce up and go to the upside. All right, so that's the QQQ. All right, am I saying it's gonna happen? No, but based on these technicals off the daily time frame, we still have some downside action that needs to happen before we could really blast off and go to the upside, right? Now, some gaps will get filled years later or months later, right? That is possible. But based on how close we are, it could happen sooner than later. All right. If we go to the weekly on the QQQ, we had this candle right here. So look, it came up, stopped, and then this candle right here, buyer stepped in, pushed it down, and now we got this candle right here. All right. So we have to see what happens. This is on the weekly, but on the daily, we already saw what happened, right? Boom, boom, boom. So we could reject here and really start to come down and fill this gap. On the weekly time frame, the QQQ has not tested this 9 EMA since it broke out, right? So it could come back here to test this 9 EMA, and that would put us in the middle of this gap right here. And then it bounces off here, and then we could go to the upside on the weekly time frame, right? And the same thing with the SPY. Okay, we go to the SPY. Since we broke out, we haven't touched the 9 EMA. We haven't tested it yet. So we broke out above it, gapped up over it, and then we haven't touched it yet. We came down a little bit, right? But then we came right back up. So we haven't tested the 9 EMA yet. So we could be coming back down there, and that's 570, 571. Now let's go to Nvidia. Okay, so let's look at Nvidia, right? As we know, right here is its highs. All right, 153. Okay, 153 is its highs. Now, if we look at the charts for the past, 5 weeks? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 weeks we've been going up, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks we've been going up, right? So we came all the way down here to 85, had a bullish engulfing, and then boom, right? We went crazy. Now, this candle right here, it rejected, all right? So that's letting me know that sellers are stepping in and we could be coming to the downside. Now, if we, earnings is gonna either send this thing up here or it's gonna send it down here, right? Now, looking at the weekly, we see these 2 gaps right here, okay? Now look at this on a daily. On a daily, it looks like it's forming something very similar. Up, down, up, right? Right here, it's right here at resistance, okay? And then we could come down. If we come down, we have 2 gaps to fill right here, okay? We have a gap right here to fill from 120 down to 123. Then we also have a gap to fill down to 118, all right? So we could be coming down, down here, okay? Now, what else? Everybody loves Palantir. All right. So Palantir was on a bull flag, right? It was on a bull flag, went up, consolidated. It did not break above that bull flag. It did not create new all-time highs yet, right? Actually came down. It actually came lower below the 9 EMA right here. Right, and now we got an indecision candle right here. Buyers had stepped in, pushed it up a little bit, but it was still a red day on Friday or Tuesday, which was yesterday, right? So This is kind of consolidating at a little bit of a lower level, right? After this breakout right here. If we look at Palantir on the weekly time frame, we haven't pulled back to the 9 EMA since May 5th. We touched it and then we blasted off, right? So almost a month ago now, right? So we could come pull back on Palantir down to 113, and then we could bounce off and go to the upside, right? On the daily, back to the daily time frame, the only gap I'm seeing on Palantir is right here, and it's a small one, right? It's right here. Boom. We got boom right here. All right. Right there. So Palantir at some point is going to come back down to 96 bucks. I don't know exactly when, but the EMA right here, the 9 EMA, looks like it wants to kind of come down and starting to curl. Now, if we finish today, if today closes like this, then obviously it could go anyway, depending on how earnings go on Nvidia, right? But I think Palantir is actually due for some type of pullback that's bigger than just like right here, right? Which is only a couple dollars. I think it's due for like a, like a 8% pullback or something like that. Let's go to, we could say, where's Meta at? Meta. Where's Meta? Right here, right? If we look at Meta, Meta has a gap to fill right here, okay? It has a gap to fill right here. Boom. So down to 607. Okay, so it could come down to 608, but it also has another gap to fill down to 550. Okay, down to 550. And it actually has one more to fill right down here, down to like 511, 512. All right. So Meta has 3 gaps to fill to the downside. And these are like substantial gaps. These aren't just like some tiny like dollar gaps or 80-cent gaps. These are like, these are good sized gaps, right? And what's happening is came up, came down a little bit, came up. So it could come up to like 660 and then it could reject and it could come right back down as well, right? So that's Meta. And look at Microsoft. Here's another big one, right? Microsoft beat earnings, and now look at them. Look at them. Look at this massive gap right here. All right. This is from 396 all the way to 424. All right. That's almost $30, right? It has to fill this gap right here. And if you see on the daily time frame, okay, you see on a daily time frame, you got this candle. It has an uptrend. We got this candle, and then we got this candle right here. All right. So we have 3 candles that are showing us that the stock wants to start to come down, but then it went up, right? And then right here, it's a red day, but it's still a little bit higher, right? Opened up a little bit higher, and now it's right here at 458, right? So this looks like it wants to come down as well. So Microsoft could be coming down to come fill this gap, and then it could bounce off, right? To give it to allow it to go back to the upside, right? So it really does look like, in my opinion, at some point in time, we're going to be coming down, because it's not just one stock. We're talking about a ton of stocks that have very, very, very similar setups. All right. So with that being said, I just want you guys to understand, I'm basing this all off of technicals, all right? All off of technicals. The news is going to do what the news does, and yes, pay attention to the news. But when we're trying to analyze a stock based off of technical analysis, we got to look at what the price action is showing us, right? And what I'm seeing is, at some point in time, even if we do go up, we still have to fill these massive gaps to the downside. So I think the upside is going to be limited, right, until we come and fill those gaps. And I want you to think about the stock market as a slingshot, right? The further you pull back, the further it could skyrocket. So if we do end up pulling back, we're going to go higher than where we currently are at right now, All right. So when we get this pullback, whenever it is, it could be now, it could be a week from now, it could be 2.5, 3 weeks from now, sometime next month. Whenever we get that pullback, I want you to understand that it's going to be short lived. All right. We're not going to be there forever. It's just going to fill these gaps and then we're going to go to the upside. They may allow Nvidia to go up, right? And then it's going to come right back down and then it'll end up going up higher, right? We don't know what's going to happen, but if you don't know 100% almost what's going to happen with Nvidia, do not play earnings. Just wait for tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be a slew of opportunities in the market, because we're now going to have some type of sentiment and some type of direction with the market, because we know what Nvidia's earnings reported, and Nvidia moves the market. All right. So with that being said, I hope that helped you. I really, really, really hope you ain't out here gambling on earnings. All right. I've been there before. I've done it. I done lost thousands of dollars, getting a contract here, getting 2 contracts here on earnings, and it never going my way. All right. Or it never going the way that I think it is. Because just because a company beats earnings doesn't mean they're going to go up. Just because a company misses earnings doesn't mean they're going to go down. All right. Look what Tesla just did. They missed earnings, but then they had some stuff and now they almost at $400. They just missed earnings. All right. So if you are not fully sure and or you're not willing to take that risk and be accountable for the risk, if you do lose your whole contract, then do not trade it. All right. Just wait for tomorrow, wait for the next day, and then trade the momentum. That's all you got to do. And you can make plenty of money. All right. So like I always say, make sure you get up out of your head, go get into this world, because your head is a dangerous place to live. All right. And also remember, the more you study, the less you worry. All right. I'm going to see you guys on the next video. Peace.